Let's talk about one of the most common and quietly destructive beliefs we carry, the idea that happiness lives somewhere in the future. You've probably heard or even said it yourself, "I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I have more money, more freedom, or more time." It sounds harmless, even motivating, but this mindset is a subtle trap. It tells your mind that happiness is something out there, waiting for you at the end of a finish line that keeps moving further away. The truth is, most of us are not chasing happiness itself. We're chasing conditions we've been taught will produce it. From a young age, society links happiness to success, status, and possessions. We grow up believing that fulfillment is a reward that comes after we achieve something big. But here's the paradox. Every time you reach one milestone, your mind immediately moves the goalpost. You graduate and you want the job. You get the job and you want the promotion. You get the promotion and you want freedom from the stress that came with it. It's a never-ending loop that keeps you running, always forward, but never truly arriving. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. The cycle where your happiness spikes after an achievement, then drops back to its baseline, pushing you to chase the next thing. It's why so many people who appear to have it all still feel an emptiness inside. The issue isn't that we set goals. The issue is that we postpone happiness until those goals are met. We tell ourselves not now, later, and in doing so, we delay the very emotion we're spending our lives trying to reach. Happiness doesn't come from a future event. It arises from a present mindset. It's not a trophy you earn. It's a skill you nurture. This doesn't mean you stop striving or that ambition is wrong. It means you stop believing your joy depends on what comes next. When you anchor your peace in external outcomes, you surrender your emotional well-being to forces you can't fully control. But when you root your happiness in gratitude, growth, and alignment with your values, it becomes steady, independent of success or failure. Think about it. Every single moment you spend wishing for a future joy, you're ignoring the countless blessings around you now. The simple breath in your lungs, the chance to learn, the relationships you have, the small daily victories, they are not obstacles between you and happiness. They are happiness waiting to be noticed. So, the biggest illusion we fall for is that happiness is somewhere ahead of us, when in reality, it's something we bring into each moment. The chase keeps us busy. Presence makes us whole. If there's one truth to carry with you, it's this. Happiness doesn't start when life gets easier. It starts when you stop postponing it. Now let's explore another major misunderstanding about happiness, the confusion between pleasure and purpose. This is where so many of us unknowingly go wrong. We live in a world that constantly tells us happiness comes from pleasure, from comfort, from entertainment, from the next exciting experience. We are surrounded by messages that whisper, if it feels good, it must be good for you. But that's not always true. Pleasure and happiness may overlap for a moment, but they are not the same thing. Pleasure is emotional sugar, sweet, instant, but temporary. It gives a quick rush, a sense of escape, a momentary satisfaction. That dopamine hit from scrolling your phone, that thrill of buying something new, or the buzz of being admired online, it feels wonderful in the moment. But then it fades and you're left craving the next fix. The mind starts to believe that more pleasure equals more happiness, but what it really creates is dependency. You start needing constant stimulation to feel alive. And when the stimulation stops, so does your joy. Happiness, on the other hand, isn't always comfortable. Real happiness, the kind that gives your life depth and peace, often demands effort, patience, and even pain. It's found in purpose, in meaning, in growth. Think about it. The things that bring the deepest satisfaction are rarely the easiest. Raising a child, building a business, caring for someone ill, developing yourself spiritually, these aren't always pleasurable experiences. They can be exhausting, frustrating, even painful. Yet, beneath that struggle lies a profound sense of fulfillment. You look back and realize it was worth every ounce of effort because it made you grow. The danger today is that many people are mistaking feeling good for being well. You can flood your life with distractions, but still feel empty inside. You can chase excitement, but lose peace. You can experience constant pleasure and still feel meaningless, because what the soul longs for isn't stimulation, it's significance. Your body craves pleasure, but your heart craves purpose. When those two are confused, you end up feeding one while starving the other. The wisest people aren't those who deny themselves pleasure, but those who don't let it control them. They enjoy the world without becoming slaves to it. They know that fleeting pleasures can add color to life, but purpose gives it structure and direction. When you wake up every day with a sense of contribution, when you know your actions align with something greater than yourself, that's when peace begins to settle in. So, the next time you reach for something just to feel good, pause and ask, does this bring me closer to who I want to become, or is it just numbing what I don't want to face? Because in the end, pleasure fades, but purpose fulfills. And the one who chooses meaning over momentary comfort finds a happiness that doesn't need constant chasing, it simply stays. Another subtle but serious mistake many of us make in our search for happiness is that we hand it over to other people and to external circumstances. We tie our sense of peace to how life treats us, how people behave, or how situations unfold, and then we wonder why we feel so emotionally unstable. The truth is, when your happiness depends on what you can't control, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. It's like building a house on shifting sand. Every small change in your environment shakes your emotional foundation. We often say things like, "I'll be happy when they treat me better," or "I'll be happy when life finally gives me a break." But think about what that means. You're giving someone else the remote control to your emotions. If they press the right button, you smile. If they don't, you suffer. That's not happiness, that's dependency. True happiness can never belong to you if it can be taken away by someone else's words, moods, or approval. Psychologically, this happens because our minds are trained to look outward for validation. We feel loved when others acknowledge us, respected when others praise us, and safe when others agree with us. But the problem is, people change, circumstances change. The same world that gives you comfort today can bring you pain tomorrow. When your peace is anchored to something unstable, your emotions will always rise and fall with the tide. Happiness begins to stabilize when you realize that while you cannot control what happens to you, you can always control how you respond. It's a shift from being a victim of life to becoming a participant in it. The greatest freedom you will ever experience is emotional independence, the ability to remain centered even when life around you feels chaotic. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people or situations. It means you stop letting them define your worth or dictate your state of mind. Spiritually and philosophically, this is a matter of ownership. You must reclaim your inner space. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? One question keeps you powerless. The other restores your agency. Happiness doesn't mean every day is perfect. It means you have learned to find peace even in imperfection. Think of it this way. Storms will always come, but peace isn't the absence of storms. It's the ability to remain calm within them. And that calm comes from within, not from the world outside. So, stop outsourcing your happiness. Stop waiting for others to make you feel complete. Life will never give you perfect conditions, but it will always give you a choice to complain or to grow, to blame or to rise. And when you finally choose to own your happiness, you'll discover something profound. You never lost it, you simply stopped giving it away. One of the greatest thieves of happiness today is our inability to be present. We live in a world that constantly pulls us away from the now. Our minds are always somewhere else, replaying what went wrong yesterday, or worrying about what might happen tomorrow. And in doing so, we miss the only moment that actually exists. This one, think about it. How often are you truly here, not distracted, not scrolling, not waiting for something else to begin, just here, fully engaged with life as it unfolds? Psychologists have long shown that the mind wanders nearly half the time, even when we're doing things we enjoy. We could be eating, walking, or sitting with someone we love, yet mentally we're far away, and the cost of that mental absence is enormous. You see, happiness doesn't live in the past or the future, it only exists in the present moment. The past has already left, and the future hasn't arrived. But because our thoughts are rarely in the present, we end up living in times that don't actually exist. No wonder peace feels so distant. When you're caught in the past, you dwell on regret, guilt, and what-ifs. When you're trapped in the future, you feed anxiety and fear. Neither of these states brings joy, they only drain it. Real happiness begins the moment you stop trying to escape the present and start embracing it, even when it's imperfect. It's about learning to be still in your own life, to breathe in the moment and say, "This is enough, I am enough." Spiritually, presence is a form of gratitude. It's an acknowledgement that this moment, however ordinary, is a gift. And the more aware you become of the present, the more beauty you begin to notice in what you once overlooked. The warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter, the rhythm of your breath. These small, seemingly insignificant details are the foundation of real joy. They remind you that happiness was never hiding, you were just too distracted to see it. This is why mindfulness is not just a technique, it's a way of living. It's choosing to slow down in a world that rushes. It's deciding to listen deeply when others speak. It's giving your full attention to what's before you, instead of chasing what's beyond you. When you master the art of presence, life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a blessing. It doesn't mean you abandon ambition or stop planning for the future. It simply means you stop letting tomorrow rob you of today. The truth is, every future you dream of will eventually arrive as a present moment. If you can't find happiness in the now, you won't find it then. So take a deep breath. Pause, look around you. Because happiness is not waiting somewhere else, it's waiting right here, in this very breath, in this very moment. One of the deepest sources of unhappiness in modern life comes from isolation. Not necessarily physical isolation, but emotional and spiritual disconnection. We have more ways to communicate than ever before, yet people have never felt lonelier. We scroll endlessly through the lives of others, comparing instead of connecting, consuming instead of caring. And in the process, we forget one of the fundamental truths about happiness. It grows when it's shared. Human beings are not built to live for themselves alone. We are wired for connection, for belonging, for service. Yet the modern narrative tells us that happiness lies in personal achievement, in climbing higher, earning more, and proving our worth. It's all about me, but when everything revolves around me, life begins to lose meaning. The more self-centered our pursuit becomes, the more hollow it feels. Because true fulfillment is never found in isolation. It's found in relationships, in love, compassion, and contribution. Psychologically, this makes perfect sense. Studies have shown that people who maintain deep, meaningful relationships are consistently happier, healthier, and live longer. But beyond the science, there's a spiritual truth here. The heart was never designed to be full from what it receives. It becomes full from what it gives. When you serve others, when you extend kindness, when you make someone else's day a little brighter, something shifts inside you. You tap into a joy that no amount of self-indulgence can replicate. The irony is that many of us keep chasing personal happiness as if it's a solo project. But the more you focus solely on yourself, the smaller your world becomes. When you start caring for others, your world expands, and so does your heart. You begin to see life through a lens of connection rather than competition. That's when empathy grows, and with it, a deeper, steadier happiness. Look around you. Everyone you meet is fighting some hidden battle, carrying a burden you might never see. A kind word, a small gesture, a moment of listening can be life changing for someone, and often it's life changing for you. The act of giving, not necessarily money or things, but time, attention, and compassion, softens the heart. It aligns you with something higher than yourself. It reminds you that life isn't just about what you can take, but about what you can contribute. When you live this way, you begin to experience a happiness that's not fleeting, but rooted, the kind that doesn't depend on how much you own or how much recognition you receive. It's the quiet joy of knowing your presence makes a difference. So if you ever find yourself feeling empty, don't ask, "What more can I get?" Ask instead, "What more can I give?" Because in giving, you don't lose anything. You uncover the part of yourself that was missing all along. At some point, you have to stop searching for happiness as if it's a lost object and start living it. This is where so many people get stuck, always looking, always analyzing, always chasing something just beyond reach. We read books, attend seminars, scroll through motivational posts, hoping someone will finally reveal the secret. But here's the truth. The secret isn't hidden. It's just simple. So simple that most people overlook it. Happiness isn't something you find at the end of a journey. It's something you practice along the way. The constant search for happiness often becomes the very reason we never experience it. We treat happiness like a prize that must be earned or a puzzle that must be solved. But the moment you turn happiness into a goal, you turn it into a moving target. You begin to say, "Once I fix this, once I get that, once I become this, then I'll be happy." And so, the present moment becomes just another waiting room for a future that never quite arrives. Philosophically, this mindset reveals a deep misunderstanding of life. Happiness was never meant to be the result of living correctly. It's the method of living meaningfully. It's a byproduct of alignment. When your thoughts, actions, and values begin to harmonize, peace naturally follows. You don't need to chase it. You simply need to remove the layers of resistance that keep you from feeling it. Gratitude, mindfulness, compassion, and purpose. These are not accessories to happiness. They are happiness in action. Spiritually, it's about surrender, not in the sense of giving up, but in letting go of the illusion that life must unfold exactly as you wish for you to be content. The people who radiate the most peace are rarely those who have perfect lives. They're the ones who have stopped demanding that life be perfect in order to feel peace. They've learned to live with open hands instead of clenched fists. They trust the process, embrace uncertainty, and choose to see lessons where others see losses. This is not about pretending to be happy when things are hard. It's about cultivating an inner steadiness that doesn't collapse every time life shifts. You begin to realize that happiness is less about external perfection and more about internal alignment. It's about showing up fully, in joy, in struggle, in growth, and finding meaning in all of it. The biggest mistake we make in our search for happiness is believing it's somewhere else, somewhere in the future, or in someone else's hands. But happiness has never been lost. It's just been overshadowed by noise, comparison, and constant striving. So pause, stop running, start living, because happiness isn't waiting for you at the finish line. It's been walking beside you all along, waiting for you to notice.